Welcome back to Studios Lounge Live. And it's been a roller coaster in the last couple of days, I suppose. Thank you, Kevin, for being with us. And welcome. My pleasure. All right, so Julia, how do you feel so far the first 24 hours in Ferrara?
Oh, it's been crazy. It's been really crazy. I've never done this before, and I had a lot of fun doing it, so I'm really happy about it.
Assolutamente, anche noi siamo felici
di aver
assolutamente di essere felici di essere stanchi. We're happy to be tired.
Exactly.
So basically, I think this year we're doing something extraordinary in our program.
Quest'anno abbiamo fatto qualcosa di straordinario al Festival di Ferrara.
Because celebrating movies, current movies, is very important, but also celebrating films of the past is as important as what we're doing in a regular program.
Celebrare i film nuovi è sempre un grande piacere, ma celebrare anche quelli vecchi è importante farlo per...
I always say it's always great to look at the future looking in the past.
Quello che dici tu è che guardare nel futuro...
Guardando il passato.
Guardando il passato, ok.
And speaking of the future, Kevin, what are you working on right now?
You know, I'm not doing anything. I have 2 scripts that I would really, really like to make, but I haven't gotten them financed. So, yeah, I would still like to do at least another film or 2 before I hang it up.
Quindi ha degli script in ballo che vorrebbe fare, ma non ha ancora i finanziamenti, quindi si sta cercando di capire come...
That's fixable. You know, that's fixable.
You know, in this day and time, it's all about who's in it, you know. They don't really care so much, unless you're Scorsese or somebody. They don't care about the director. It's all about who's in it, the financiers. So it's all about finding financeable cast before they'll give you the money to make a project.
But let me ask you, specifically now, I'm sure you haven't touched this subject before, but I want to ask you something that it's really close to my heart.
Ok, vorrebbe chiedere una cosa che gli sta a cuore.
So the subject is streaming versus theatrical. To me, I think we were kind of deceived during the pandemic about thinking and being almost sure that the streaming was the future and everything was streaming, the movie theaters will die and so forth. So let me first say I think it's wrong and I've been proven right. But I would like your opinion on that.
Vorrei sapere la tua opinione tra la differenza tra lo streaming e il teatro.
Well, I'm hardly an expert, but my feeling about it, just from my own observation, is I still think streaming is the future. I think theatrical is not completely dead. I think people may still go out to the cinema, but they won't go the way they used to. They won't go every week to the cinema. They will go for a big event picture maybe once or twice a year, but they will not go every week like they used to. Now, once a week is what streaming is. People prefer to consume most of their content at home. You know, the technology has changed such that you can sit at home now on a big 85-inch screen in your own home. You can watch things. It doesn't cost you $100 to go out to the cinema, unfortunately. So for me personally, yeah, I think theatrical, the way it used to be when I started, is gone. People are going to consume most of their films at home. They still may go out occasionally, but not the way they used to.
Lo streaming per lui è il futuro e ormai il cinema come era una volta non c'è purtroppo più e la gente sicuramente continuerà a guardare i film e il cinema sarà sempre fatto a casa praticamente.
Okay. Interesting. I'm going to give you a food for thought. You know why? Because a couple of days ago I realized something that I haven't thought about, and I'll tell you that in a second.
Something that you have
Thought about che non ho che non ci avevo pensato.
Ok, ti dirà una cosa che non aveva mai pensato.
The theater that we are in the 80s, when the VHS, the video cassettes were booming, the same thing was happening, and we're talking about now, 40 years ago. Now that makes me feel old. I learned from a critic here from Ferrara that this theater in the 80s was turned into a club, like a disco club, because nobody was going to the movies and because the VHS was the future. But fast forward, a few years later, and things went back again to the theatrical. And I think it's a cycle that we're living through the same kind of concept, but instead of VHS, the streaming. So, have you considered that it could be happening?
It could, but let me ask you a question. Do you go to the cinema as much as you used to?
That's a very question. So, so I agree with you what you said before. So it's a healthy discussion. So no, the answer is no. But I would like to go more.
Me too, but I don't.
So maybe you're right. But do you think that the content that we are being fed streaming-wise, do you think that it's something that you will remember like a week later? Let me ask you. No.
I can answer no.
Right.
I think unfortunately, most of the content on the streamers now is crap.
You should translate that because everybody in the square should know that.
La maggior parte dei film che mettono adesso su Netflix, Prime Video, you mean that? Mm-hmm. They're crap, vuol dire sono cinema spazzatura.
I don't know if do you agree outside? Su Netflix, quello che scegliete, quanto tempo ci mettete a scegliere un film su Netflix? Almeno mezz'ora, poi magari spegnete la TV e vi fate un bicchiere di vino. Vedi, molti they agree. So what I'm asking them is that you spend half an hour, 20 minutes just browsing Wall Street like you're in a cheap grocery store.
But that's the problem, is so much of streaming now is just mindless content. People come home at night and they sit down and they just want to be entertained. So they flip through until something sort of catches their attention and it occupies them for a few hours. Mm-hmm. Are they emotionally invested in it? No, they're not. It's just something to occupy their time. And that's enough for most people. And the streamers know that. So they just put this content out there that's mindless. You don't remember it next week. It just occupies your time. But it's not like cinema was when I started, where you go to see something, you're emotionally moved by it. That's not what you're getting through the streamers. Unfortunately, there are exceptions. There are a few, but for the most part, I think most of it's just mindless garbage.
Yes, I agree with you 1,000%. That's why in our little we do a film festival because I think it's a way to kind of do our part in bringing people together, bringing artists together, and the movie theater experience. I think it's something so special that you cannot replicate. But let me ask you, since you said in the beginning of your career, so what made you want to become a film director?
From the time I was a kid, I loved telling stories. And when I first started, I was a writer. I've always liked to write. And when I was a teenager, I started writing stories. And so, I love movies. And so I finally realized, okay, if you want to tell a story, you have to be a director. And so I taught myself how to direct film. But as a writer, I could create, I could create the stories and then turn them into cinema by being a director. And the thing that influenced me was seeing great films. You know, I mean, David Lean pictures, you know, Stanley Kubrick pictures, the fabulous pictures of the 60s and the 70s. I was moved by those. And I remember those films. Now, I think if you ask people, okay, what did you watch on Netflix last month? They couldn't tell you.
Not even last week.
Last week.
Well, ti chiedo, quanto tempo ci metti a scegliere un film su Netflix?
Well, I think I've seen everything on Netflix.
Really?
Yes. I'm like.
How's that possible?
No, but it's true because sometimes I just watch movies to fall asleep, and that's why I just put some crap.
You can say crap.
Shit. Just to fall asleep because hearing something makes me.
But that's sleep. Why they keep making crap.
That's true. That's true actually. But
because people are satisfied. Okay, I'll pay $10 a month to watch stuff that'll put me to sleep.
But there are some movies, but usually they're always from the 90s or So yes, I keep going back to see movies that were actually, as you said, emotionally touching.
Yeah. Movies today, they're not special like they used to be, unfortunately.
So I think you should make one, one special.
Yeah, let me ask you, so you touched, coming of age, adventure, science fiction, because I think, Waterworld, it's a science fiction movie. So is there any genre that you haven't done that you're dying to make?
Not really a genre to me. I take that back. I would love to do, there's a Western, I would love to do a Western, just one Western because it's such an iconic American art form in cinema. I'd love to do a Western. But to me, it's all about the story. It's about the script. And if the story moves me, then I want to get involved. I'm willing to take a year or two out of my life, invest a year or two into a project if the story moves me. It's all about the script.
And is there any actor that you are dying to work with?
Again, it's all about the actor who fits the character. So if the character in the script, you have to find the actor who fits the character. And so no, there's not any actor in particular. I think there's some brilliant actors out there. But to me, it's all about the actor who fits the character.
So which one? I think I know the answer. But all the actors, the great actors you work with, is there one in particular that, of course, without talking bad about the others, all actors are great. There's one specific memory that you keep in your heart with whether it's a scene, whether it's a movie at all, or the whole production process, something that, in a good or in a bad way, something that really felt for you, oh wow, I will remember this forever.
Yes, I've been very, very fortunate. I've gotten to work with some wonderful actors, really talented people. God, so many of them. I mean, if I had to pick two, it's interesting. I really enjoyed two actors. They were old-time actors that I really, really enjoyed working with. I was so fortunate to get to work with Sean Connery for one day on Robin Hood. That was a real experience to work with Sean Connery and watch how he worked. The other guy that I really loved was Richard Harris. When I did The Count of Monte Cristo, I loved Richard. He was such a character. He was wonderful. And to watch him work was so interesting. After decades of what he did, to see the way he could lay on a line, he'd give so much weight to a simple line. He knew how to make you watch him. That's a real talent. He knew how to make you watch him with one line. And I saw one day, I looked at his script, and he would underline syllables. He would underline syllables in his dialogue because he knew where he was going to put an emphasis. And if anybody else said the line, you would pay no attention to it. But it was the way he delivered one line. He knew how to make you watch him. And that's, to me, the mark of a great actor.
Thank you for that. This is a very cool detail. Do you have one last question? Because we're boiling like lobster inside here. Do you have one last question for Mr. Reynolds?
I have one last question. Yes. So what is your favorite movie?
That is not yours.
That is not yours.
We were just talking about that. And, you have to go back, and everybody has a favorite movie. And to me, it's like the movie that first influenced you when you were younger, that you really remember. And for me, if I had to pick one movie, it's Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zhivago.
Dr. Zhivago. It just had such a profound influence on me. And that's when I just became a huge David Lean fan, because nobody could take a huge canvas, giant landscapes, and tell a personal story against a huge canvas the way David Lean did. And that was a big influence on me.
Thank you. How about, magari ricordiamo anche ai nostri amici che ci stanno guardando alla piazza che fra pochi minuti possono venire dentro, dentro il Teatro Nuovo per la retrospettiva di Fandango. Vuoi ricordare a tutti?
Masterclass alle 4:30, giusto?
Quindi adesso. Se siete liberi entrate dentro il teatro in questo momento. L'ingresso è libero. Però somebody's waiting for you over there. Can we move the camera, one camera to look? There's some guys.
That's how you scare him off. He's camera shy.
Camera shy. He's you're live. Just so you know, you're. Okay. Ok. Quindi siete tutti benvenuti. Adesso ci spostiamo dentro il Teatro Nuovo. E se avete anche altre domande c'è una retrospettiva di Fandango e siete tutti invitati, l'ingresso è libero, tanto c'è caldo, dentro il teatro c'è fresco. E thank you. I will see you in a few minutes over there.
Thank you so much.
Grazie a tutti.